It's My Right Stuff with your host, Grammy Award-winning record producer and inventor, Toby Wright. My Right Stuff is brought to you by Tones, a natural sleep and sound healing portal available globally at www.tones.com. That's www.taumhoms.com. And I'm your announcer, Grinnin' Barrett. Here's Toby.
Hey, and welcome back to My Right Stuff, which is a film, TV, sports, and adventure lifestyle podcast. And our guests come from all walks of life and not just the music sector. I'm your host, Lord Toby Wright, and on today's podcast, we have a very good friend of mine for many years, Mr. Frankie Sullivan. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Tomes, which is a natural sleep and sound healing portal helping people globally to get to sleep faster and stay asleep longer through tomes.com, which is www.taumhoms.com. But most of all, a big thank you to all of you who stream, download, watch, and support My Right Stuff. Keep spreading the word. I appreciate it. And be sure to click on our show notes below and follow our link tree for a full list of all the channels we're streaming on, as well as all of our sites and social media platforms. Also, if you're able, please follow our support link to donate to My Right Stuff. Every single dollar helps support My Right Stuff crew who make all of this possible. And of course, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as the podcast channel of your choice, so you never miss a single episode. So please head on over to myrightstuff.com, go to the store tab, and pick up some snazzy merch for those bodies. Well, as I said, today's guest is Mr. Frankie Sullivan. And if you're not familiar with who he is or what he's done, let me give you the mountaintop view real quick. He's a founding member of the band Survivor, which has had 10 top 40 singles, a Grammy Award for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or a Group, a People's Choice Award, and an Academy Award nomination for the Best Original Song, Eye of the Tiger. Bet you know that one, right? All right, now let's have a nice, warm My Right Stuff welcome for Mr. Frankie Sullivan. Yeah, there's a nice People's Choice Award, huh? Yeah, we can see that. That looks good.
Okay, so you only get one. So they only give one away here. I don't know what year this was, maybe 59. But
oh, wow. Awesome.
My introduction to music is kind of interesting, I think. To me, I like it. Maybe it was best for me, it was because it was listening. So when the record's done, we're breaking down. We're going to go up to Sausalito then and do overdub. One of those moments you have to go with it.
Exactly.
Besides this great voice, you have to have, you got to have that amazing voice. But if you don't have that girl thing going on, you're not going to do it when you're a singer.
That's right.
Moment of truth, which is, I went through that. I said, wait a minute, because today, this is ironic. 40 years ago today, Tiger hit number one. Today, 40 years ago, right now.
Tiger.
Toby, all this stuff about Eye of the Tiger is bullshit, 99% of it is made up.
That's right. So Dave Bickler was the singer on the original Tiger, right?
Yeah, he was. Yes.
And he killed it, obviously. And
I think when we all know what we do. When you've done 100% of what you can do, and you're really in that mindset, I'm going to contribute to this thing, and it still doesn't hit the mark, you got to.
Sure.
So we need to make a change.
So you moved on and you found Jimmy Jamison. How'd you find him?
Luck. It was luck.
Luck. Okay. Did he show up at a rehearsal or?
We're needing a singer, and it changed our life dramatically. My life, because we had a great time.
Great.
And I called it the vacation tour. So you're in Philadelphia. Well, we'd be at the Spectrum 4 nights. You're in New York next week. You're at the Garden 4 nights. And
so tell us about the singer you have now.
You and Ron. Cameron Barton. Cameron's a great singer, man.
Yeah, tell us about Cameron, man.
He's a great singer, man. And he's an old soul. He's like hanging with some guy that's been around forever. It's hard to explain, man. You have to meet him, and he's total chill.
Right.
He reminds
Young
me an
cat,
awful
right?
lot about you. Yeah, he's 25. He reminds me an awful lot about JMO. He reminds me of him in tons of ways. He's totally chill. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest that came out, and the guy looked just like Chief. And Mark nicknamed him Chief, and then he became famous. Oh, Chief, yeah, he's the guy he used to say he ripped on B3. He had these kids, he'd say, he called me kid, remember Chief? You know, all that stuff was awesome.
Right,
I
right.
think so.
Also, you collect guitars.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you do. And how many do you have? And do you have a favorite?
Okay. I don't know if I have a favorite.
Because I
One's
know you have
not
a
enough, and
bunch of
like
guitars.
one's not enough, and 300 too many. It's one of those, where do you stop? Where do you start? Right? One's not enough, and there's 200 too many, and 99. I don't know, but you have to understand. When I started, they weren't. The, they didn't cost what they do today.
Right.
Nowadays, and two, they were tools. So when I was
Exactly.
young, I would look at my idols and go, "Oh, a Fender Stratocaster. What's that?" And then I discovered nobody was really playing them unless like it was Clapton at the time or Beck, but I loved them.
Sure.
And then Ron, we would incorporate them in the studio, but they weren't big in classic rock at the time. So every time I went to town, I would get bored. I would visit. They had these great vintage shops back then. When on my
Okay.
heyday, that were amazing. Not just George Gruder or Norm, Uncle Norm McComb, or Walter Carter, Buzzy Levine still at Lark Street Music. He's just killer. You had like
Right.
Gil Southworth, Larry Briggs at Strings. They had the best stuff. And then after a while, they know that what your tastes are, and they call you on the phone. So, and
Right.
then you add Gary Richrath to the mix because we'd buy so many
Okay.
guitars. Our manager would say, "No vintage dealers get to get in this venue," which worked until Gary said to me one day, "Hey man, I got an extra room." "For what? The dungeon?" "That's where we all go and hang with you." "No, no, no. The guitar dealers." Well, the first night I went in there, it's like tons of, because Gary wouldn't stop. He's like, "Buy that," and he was great. "No, that's too fucking much. He's gonna pay you like 3 grand." It was like a 60 Les Paul, and stuff that I wouldn't normally known of. So I just
Sure.
got it because I loved the sound. Then
Right.
it
Okay.
became a habit, and then after a while, it's kind of like a stupid habit because you can get guitars have to speak to you. You start buying them
Yes.
and you go, "Oh, look at that, should be in a museum." Okay, put it in the museum.
Right.
I have these mint guitars that I don't even know. I've got like a couple Les Pauls. They're so mint they don't even tune. No one ever loved them. So I think
Right.
after a
Okay.
while it became a habit. But the bulk of them I used, and I used. Like I used a lot of these in this room. Look at this, the burst. I use this on all of our records. You recorded this. Everybody watched it, but I have a few. This is my favorite 59. They're like,
There
"We
you
got to
go.
get
See.
pictures." Oh, if the light was in there, you'd go nuts over this thing. It's that the crazy, but not that. It's its sound. And then these things, people go, "Oh, they're like 300, 600 grand." I'm like, "What?" I won't tell you what it paid for, but we reused this all the time. And then I think my
Right.
first 58 Fender Stratocaster, you recorded tons. Ron loved it. It's over there. I paid $1,100 for it. Now they're like
That's
30 grand on each. I'm like, "What?" Leo
yeah.
Fender would tell you
Exactly.
it's nuts and bolts. So a
Right.
lot of these I use, and they're kind of
Good.
priceless because I use them, but they're very, very expensive. Some of them, they're the habit guitars, Toby. I got to collect. And not every guitar is a great guitar. The guitar
True.
has to
True.
talk back.
That's
Like
right.
that Martin, this guitar that I tell you about. This is I've only
Right.
had it for about Buzzy Levine and learned it. It's a pre-work Martin, the 0020. I just love it. Okay, so I get this guitar, and the only other acoustic guitar in the house that is as good, the other ones can't even come close, is the one I played on Vital Signs and stuff that you did too. That blonde that's over here, the J185. Those are just great guitars. I try to
Yeah. Yeah.
copy them. I gave one to my attorney for Christmas. I said, "I'm a pre-war Martin." I go, "Here, it's mint. You put it in a museum because if you don't play them, you don't love them. They're not gonna
Exactly.
You could tell, like this guitar is really clean. It's been
Right.
played. I actually took it on the
It's
road for
beautiful.
years. Oh, I love this thing. Sometime I'll get you in a good light. You go, look at this. I put it up on a post, and all the guys go,
Oh,
that serial. Nowadays, they're in the serial number ranges. I'm like, we didn't give
right.
a crap about, we just liked how they sounded. But they love,
Exactly.
if you play them and touch them right, they'll love you. But not every guitar is a great guitar. So if you look around at all of them, I don't know how many of them are great. Maybe 50,
Okay.
maybe 50. The other ones you go,
Maybe.
hey man, okay, it's meant, put it in a museum, because I pick it up and it's like, you play, you go, not this, and you go, what's that? It feels real weird. There's been I like Traffic. Like if you were to
Sure.
buy one of my guitars, you would say, this guy loved it, took great care of it. But they're played, so you're going to get a little bit of dings and stuff. But without that Traffic, you never know whose fingers touched it. How do you know?
That's true.
Like
That's
these
right.
old Les Pauls that hung out, this guitar and another one I bought, they were outside of a guitar in California. And on the sidewalk on those old guitar stands, and they didn't have any locks if they fell over.
Oh,
People
right.
played them. They just
Right.
loved them. So, and you never know who's been up and down the neck. Sometimes you go, gee, I wonder who touched this. You could kind of tell.
Right.
So sometimes, my friend Buzzy sold me an old 59 Strat a few years ago. Green mold behind the bridge, I got to
Okay.
refret it. I don't know. It's a good one, Buzzy. It's a special one. I can't put it down. And it's got mold behind the bridge. It's got all
Nice.
these old. Oh, it's unbelievable. It may be the best one in the house. This one,
Oh,
this
wow.
here. Hold on a second. No, this whole
Okay.
this guy, this one. This is the first one. This was my first Fender. This 58. I got this because that's like the big Clapton year, the 58. So
Absolutely.
I played this on all our records. I keep looking at the neck. It's
Yeah.
clean, but I play it. You can
Beautiful.
play them and love them. And I took it on the road, but it's great. I'll
Right.
show you other ones. They're brand new, and I'll say it's kind of like a frozen dinner. Some of them. This guitar, whoever had it before me, yeah, it is like who made this guitar? Swanson. You know what I mean?
Right.
These guitars have soul. You just have to know, because you can have a
Yeah.
good guitar, really good. A great guitar is so hard to come by. They're
Oh,
really
yeah.
hard to come by. You can maybe go through 30 and find one good one. Maybe.
So what do you look for in a great guitar?
I like, old, vintage. It
Okay.
depends what I'm into. I have a lot of old arch tops because there's a lot of history to arch tops, like Birdlands and
Right.
Super 400s or L5s, like the El Nico pickups, like the Brothers played, or West Montgomery, those. And
Oh,
Clapton
yeah.
plays them and stuff. I have one of them. They're unbelievable, but you got to turn the knobs. See, everybody only turns one knob, the volume knob. I'm always
Right.
turning
Right.
these tone knobs. There's different
Oh,
sides.
yeah.
Everybody's like, they leave this full up. I'm like, no, very few people. What are you doing? I don't put that passport. I turn the knobs all the time. You
Right.
got to, you could feel it. You could hear it. There's a thing about a great guitar, but there aren't a lot of them. There are not. This blonde guitar here, look, this is like, I put this on. I put this on tracks. I don't even know why. Maybe because it was a five. I think I paid $1,700 for this. It's a 55 J185. You've seen this.
I have seen
It's
that.
a
I love
camo
that
back
guitar.
guitar. It's a camo
Yep.
back
It
guitar.
certainly is.
It's got this, and I have a couple of J2s. It's a magical guitar. I've taken care of it. You couldn't probably even find one of these nowadays.
Right. Exactly.
Every button clips on them. You couldn't even find them. And that's when it's craftsmanship, the handmade people.
Oh, yeah.
Pick the wood. I try to keep them nice. But me, I say, here, I'd lay them on the floor. Sheet I put down the
Right.
floor. I'll be in a minute. Hey, your Les Paul, don't step on it. You have to split the difference. But great
Absolutely.
guitars are really, really hard to come by, like great cars.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Well, how about amps? I mean, like, how do
Amps.
you get your tone? Like, you have got an amazing tone. So
You know what I
let's talk
did?
about how you get your tone a bit.
Okay, well, I found this out. I'm always trying to tell these millennials, you could buy all the amps. I play through Dumble amps. Fingers.
Okay.
Your tone comes from here
Right.
and here. People
Yep.
underestimate, the right hand. No. Nowadays, for me, some of the way they pick, it's like jazz, like I've seen Joe Pass play in my days. They're amazing. Rock players, I've never really seen with the little pick. Like you watch
Right.
Clapton
Sure.
back then.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's a totally different trip. I tried to tell them what amps. I said, well, forget the left. This has everything to do with tone. So does your right.
Sure. That's right.
Sometimes I don't use a pick. Sometimes I do, but it's not because of Jeff Beck. It's because I've always done that. Amps, though, I only use Dumble amps or Peter Van Whelen amps, and their Dumbles are so expensive. They're great amps, but they're just an extension of what you do.
Of your
Because
fingers.
people go, he
Right.
uses great tone because he uses Dumble. No, I use Marshall amps too. I use
Okay.
Fender amps. You know what I use, but mainly I use my Dumbles. Yeah, so it depends, but I like my Dumble amps. I do. I love them. I do. Or the Peter Van Whelen amps.
Right. Exactly.
Where I met him, he was working with Van Halen. He did all Ed's stuff. Remember, Ed had the Marshall and the Transformers in its own case. Well, Peter did all that. And then it caught on fire. And, I said, so he makes me amps. And he's just a killer amp maker. But the
That's
Dumble
awesome.
amps are great. Toby, they want they charge you. Go look what these, in the 80s, I think they're expensive. They're $4,400. Go look what they charge for those amps nowadays. I'm like,
Yeah, I have, and they're really
crazy.
over the top. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're used to them and you play them, they're worth it. If you're used to them and you play them, well, first off, you've already had them, so you weren't going to buy them. But, when you're used to them and you play them, they're killer. They're killer.
Yeah,
because they're
I
like
hear
a
you.
Fender. But then again, I also like old Brown Deluxes or 50-watt Marshalls. It depends. I think tone is kind of what you hear.
Sure.
Remember how we used to do tracks? We would kind of do a telly, let's double it. But let's double. Now with another Les Paul, we double it like with a Telecaster.
Sure. Yeah.
We'd add like
different amp, different guitar.
Acoustic. Yeah.
Right.
I've been doing that forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Ron liked that right away. Ron always liked that right away.
Right.
So we'd put acoustic
He
on
loved,
12 strings.
Right.
He loves it. We'd put electric 12 on.
Yep.
We put a Telecaster on. We put a Stratocaster. We put not just a lot of people look double with a Tele. You and I've done that a lot of times.
Sure.
Guitars and
switch guitars, switch amps. Double apart.
You'll never know. I think it has maybe 13 guitar tracks on it, and you're never of them hardly playing at the same time.
Right. Exactly.
There's acoustic, electric. There's capo. There's a 12. There's a guitar that's detuned. There's a Fender it runs the gauntlet, everything. I think it's textures,
great.
So I just hear
exactly.
around the song.
Right.
Iron U has a lot of guitar tracks in it.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. It's just at the end, you want it to be simple because you're complimenting a song. So I look at tone like, how is it? If I'm playing a solo, then I'm like, it's hardcore. Okay, it's guitar. You got to have a great guitar tone, otherwise don't play. So I have that side of me. But when I look at the whole and I listen to a song, great tone or not, I'm listening to how the guy starts it, how the guy ends it, what's in between. Only matters if it's great. But I listen to how they build up to it, like Jeff Beck.
Right.
He'll go down in 1 and 10, and every once in a while he'll go, okay, I could do that too, and then be done with it. It's a whole, it's a different way of looking at things. There's a lot of generic stuff going on with guitars nowadays.
Right.
All we had was the Rockman. All we could fool around, and mine still work. All we had was the Rockmans. Nowadays, you get the.
I remember those.
You got you have everything, which is great. I think it's fantastic, but I sound like crap playing through that stuff. Other than the Rockmans, mine, I don't know why, but I know they sound good like plugins, but I haven't used much of them.
Right, I got you.
Tubes, tubes,
Well, you
Toby.
play
I
the
like
fuck out of the
tubes.
blues, and I love how you express yourself. So,
I,
what style seems most comfortable to you?
as a player,
Yes.
as a player,
Well, we'll
blues,
get to the listening part in a minute.
acoustic blues, stuff where you pick
Acoustic
up a,
blues.
well, no, blues, but the brother stuff, Freddie King stuff,
Okay.
stuff that Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Right. Some
that's how he
soul.
got it. Where we go, yeah, well, that's who we learned from Freddie
Right.
King stuff. And then I love playing like I love when people pick up like a D'Angelica or a Gibson L5,
Okay.
a non pickup guitar or a Martin, and that's what they played blues on before we had pickups. And most of the blues players are
Right.
gone because they were born and raised and gone before pickups ever came. So there's that
Right.
hole in guitar playing. And I don't know if a lot of the young guys are young. I don't know if a lot of guys play acoustic guitar, but you want to work on your tone, pick up an acoustic guitar because there's nothing but you, the guitar, the strings, and your fingers. And if it doesn't sound good, you. That's
It's
it's a
you,
real
right?
purist thing. Well, listen to
Exactly.
Clapton does an unbelievable job on
Oh
acoustic
God,
guitar.
yeah. He's
Flat tops,
amazing.
it's hard, man. Jeff Beck doesn't play that stuff. But he says I don't. But he could play blues on electric guitar that we'll all run out of town for. But it's
Oh yeah.
different. It's very organic. I think
Exactly.
acoustic lead belly played an electric. Hendrix played the acoustic 12 strings. It's an organic. You kind of got to dig yourself down in a foxhole. When you get it right, it goes right over to electric guitars. You kind of go, oh. I tell Teresa the other
Right.
day, I'm done with this. What this tizzy sound is down and playing. We're playing this Strat. And I pick up my old Martin. I'm playing. I go, I got to play this guitar more. No, I have to play it more because I didn't like my tone down there. So I'll spend a
Okay.
week playing on acoustic, and then I'll go back down on electric.
Right. So, do you think that helps your tone when you switch back and forth like that?
Yeah, it
Just in the
does.
fingers? Okay. Cool.
And it's all
It's all right
fingers.
there, ain't it? The magic.
Well, they all say that, but Kurt Hammett will tell you that. Kurt will tell you that. Not
Absolutely.
everybody will. But
No.
because there's so many emulators nowadays, Toby. There's so many guys that play great guitar, that can play guitar so great. I don't know how their feelers and stuff. They can like copy tone identical, but
Yeah.
then I don't know
Yeah.
how they are on their own.
Right.
I know some of them, but on their own, you got to be able to pick up that and make everybody. You got to make the room ring in
Exactly.
your fingers.
That's right.
So I
That's
kind of
right.
like to go back to. I'm a minimalist if I have to be.
Right.
Sit in a
Right.
room and play it.
Easy way to be,
Robert
right?
John, Robert Johnson played an old L1. I have a 1927 the same year, and they're not easy to play. They didn't have a choice, and he did a good job of it. What does Clapton say? I couldn't learn it. I needed two guys to play what one guy played on a guitar with missing a string because he broke it.
Right.
There's that thing. Yeah, bring Ed out. If you're Eddie at Ed Van Halen, it's like, okay, do that. Well, yeah,
Right.
but he was great though. He was
Oh, he was
unbelievable. He could
amazing.
do everything. Okay, well, I always
Right.
tell guys, but if I want to hear that, I'll just. Did you ever see Ed play? No. Okay, well, let me just tell you something. You just go,
Right.
what is that? Because it wasn't always just all this. He had melody, he had rhythm, he had tone,
Right.
he had music all over him. I heard him play
That's right.
that he played Brown. I heard him play like an old Brown-Guard Telecaster. He could. I said he had to go to Nashville. You would just beat him. Oh, I could play better than all of them. He actually said he's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
But a
Yeah.
lot of
Finish what you
guys
started
are
is probably
just
one of my favorites.
see.
Just
Well,
because of
that's
the
an old
style of that
Brown-Guard
song.
Telecaster.
Right.
Listen to
And
that
just as
guitar track. Daddy did in
it's
one take.
great.
I'll just play the solo or take it to track because I want to hurry up. He's doing dick, dick, dick. That's fingers.
Yep.
I
Exactly.
think you have to, yeah. You have to spark. And it's odd because his idol was one on it was maybe Clapton, I think, and he plays nothing like that, but maybe he was drawn to the
Right.
fact that listen to what he does and
Exactly. So, what's your favorite kind of music to listen to?
everything.
What
my
inspires you
playlist.
when you listen to it?
Jeez. Well, all I've been listening to is, I don't know why. I've been listening to a lot of blues, but I also like, I've been listening to Cat Stevens lately. I
Okay.
have. It's great. I have. I've been listening to. I listen to James Taylor. My playlist is. I listen to anything. I listen to old Wes Montgomery. I listen to Joe Pass. But I could tell you what I
Okay.
really listen to a lot. Sinatra.
Oh wow.
I'm a
Okay.
Sinatra freak. I'm a Sinatra man. Put on one more for my baby and one more for the road, and I dare you to say, okay, it's all vibe.
Oh, I want to check that
Put
out.
it
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
Okay, it's him
Okay.
and a piano. Okay, so
Right.
here's the thing. He walks in because he would only record it to at 2 a.m. Puts his hat down and sings the song once. Go listen to that. That voice, it's just
Oh,
fine. And it's a bluesy. I love all that stuff. It's raw,
yeah.
direct to
That's my
disc,
favorite.
direct to disc stuff. But I listen to Mott. I like Mayer. I listen to John Mayer. I think he writes great songs. He's a great guitar player. He's a really
I
great
agree.
lyricist. Great melodies,
Yep.
man. I listen to him. He's on my playlist. I put EC Was Here on like 6 months ago. It's still on the playlist. It's a great
Oh,
record.
good. Yeah, it
I
really is.
listen to Sting. He's great. I listen to Sting a lot.
Okay.
I do. He's did. Oh God, he's great.
Oh
I
yeah.
listen to Knopfler. I listen to Knopfler stuff like Tracker. That record Tracker.
Yeah, he's amazing, dude.
I listen to him now every day. That song. Go look up a song. It's called "In My Eyes." There's a place I can go really far away. I'll send it to you. There's a song he does with Ruth Moon. Go listen to it. And then you go, who wrote this? It's him. He's so good. Does anybody really know how good he is? It's on Tracker. Go listen to it.
Okay, I definitely will. Thank you.
And listen to Knopfler all day. It depends. I don't listen to a lot of much rock and roll, but I do listen to like Jump, Dance the
Right.
Night Away. Oh yeah, it's
Oh
on
yeah.
my place. I crank it up because I got those audio research too. I TED Talk.
That's
And
right.
then there's two mixes. The single mix version of Jump, just like crank it up. The neighbors go, there he goes again. It's just amazing. Listen to that stuff. So isn't it? Did you ever put it on? Put it on when we're done. TED
Oh,
stuff. Put
okay.
on like the
Yeah.
mix. Put on the single mix on Jump. It's just that drummer is just off the wall slamming.
Sick, right? Yeah.
Alex. Sick.
Oh yeah.
So I listen to that. It depends. I also listen to classical music. I also
Good.
like
Good.
classical nylon string guitar.
Right.
It's
There's
hard
a
to play,
shitload of those
Toby.
great players. Oh yeah. I
We
know
don't
the
know
flamenco
because we
style.
don't. Yeah, we don't open up. We don't really know.
Right.
That's the thing
Exactly.
about always. Well, the older guys knew. The
Yeah, they
guys that
did.
I idolized. They're always talking about. They're always talking about people, like even the brothers, like the blues guys. I'm like, who are they talking about? Then you listen and you go, okay, that's. I had live at the Apollo, BB King on about a week ago. Teresa goes,
Oh
huh?
man.
She thought it was Eric. I said, no, but that's where he got all the licks. She said, no, is that
Right.
Clapton? I said, no, it's live at the Apollo when BB King was 25. I said, that's where he got it all. I said, he'll tell you that. And then he had a post.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I listen to a lot of that stuff.
That's great.
Freddie King,
it's
it
good to be well
depends.
rounded. Yeah, it's probably on the mood thing as well as mine is. Because I listen to a ton of different stuff. And I listen for production value. I listen for musicality and all that kind of good stuff, and it just inspires me to
I love some of
do
what you
better.
engineers do. I listen to stuff that you engineers do too. I do because
Right.
some of you guys are way different, just to cheap for better,
Oh yeah.
than most others. So that'll get me. Like if I put Steely Dan and I listen to Walter Fagan. I had the vinyl on this week, and I'm like, okay, and then it's Al Schmidt or Elliot
Yeah.
Scheinman. I'm like, well, okay, and then I'll see the names. He'll say your name, or
Sure.
I'll say, who is this? And I'll see, it's Philip Petty. I know their names, so it'll kind of draw me in. But then at a point, I go the other way. Say,
Right.
what about, remember Tom Dowd and those guys? They weren't working
Oh
with these
yeah.
fancy things back then.
That's right.
Okay, so they had to record. Okay, well, they had, forget the live now. They had to do live cream, like with what? Like 3 mics or whatever, So I listened to what
Exactly.
they did too. Tom was great.
Yeah.
Too. You remember Tom's stuff?
Oh, I
Allman Brothers
loved
stuff.
Mr. Dowd. Oh yeah, he
See, I know
recorded
I met
and
him a
produced
couple
one of my
times.
favorite
But
bands, which was Skinnerd, right?
it's unbelievable,
And
my
the
dad.
Allman Brothers and all that good Southern stuff.
I had my
Amazing.
Fame T-shirt. I wear it every day. I had my Fame jersey shirt on. She goes, "It's got red on it." I said, "Oh, I don't care today. Oh, just put this black one on from Fame because
Right,
that's where they all did that stuff."
right,
I
right.
told my
Exactly.
friend Tom, "Go. You should go down there sometime because you could see it." Dwayne
Yeah,
Allman's
yep,
outside in a pump tent. He's out in a pump tent down at
yeah,
that studio. And the
yep.
studio owner was an ass to him. Right to Frankie,
Oh
what
yeah.
are you doing? Treat that way. He had some damn cold. Man, you seen him use that bottle with Dwayne Allman. He'd reach out, "Hey, you need any work today? I don't want no hippies in my studio." Aretha Franklin comes down there. That damn white guy, you seen him play that thing, man? He had some kind of cold. What was the old famous Chlorocidin bottle? Remember he played slide? That's what happened
Oh
to him.
yeah.
Aretha
Yep.
Franklin, then she yelled at the studio, you get paid for the hotel room for him." Then he says, "I got a friend that plays what was Eric Clapton.
Right.
Wayne, he played." And then he says there's a clip of him. He called, "Baby, I don't care. You're in between wet wife. You get your butt down and you watch this guy play this damn thing." I don't know. He had some kind of a cold. The Chlorocidin bottle, he made it into a slide.
Hell yeah.
Well, then he sat and played and like he liked Holiday in Bathrooms. Played his old Les Paul.
Right, right.
It's just guitar players. You could get into it or not. I
Exactly.
think that's why I like John Mayer. I think Mayer's really into it because he plays great acoustic. He's a
Yeah, he
great
does.
guitar player, man.
He really is
Sometimes I
really
think it
musical.
covers up. I think that his writing, his singing, his melody, his lyrics. I think it might even cover up how good he is as a player because he could play. He does all this open tuning acoustic stuff.
That's
That
right. That's
stuff.
the ticket.
Or then he could just be like Keith Richards because he knows everybody. You know.
Right,
He
exactly.
does. I watched some video somebody sent me. It's an interview recently, and I don't use this string. He plays this five, and he goes, he couldn't get it out of acoustic guitar, so you know how they have the hole. He couldn't get the string out of the hole, and he goes, fuck it. I'm going to have to tread on this. He takes the string and wraps it up. He puts it under his foot, and he starts playing, and he's playing so good, and he's like, he knows when he's good. And the guy interviewing him's going, I didn't know I could fucking, and you could just see him like, no, I'm fucking badass. Keith Richards. He could play all that stuff, dude. He plays everything.
Exactly.
He plays everything.
Yep. He's an amazing man.
Yeah,
All
well,
right,
it's
so I'm going to
musical.
switch gears on you a little bit and
You can.
get a little bit more personal again. And so I understand you're the fish
Again,
whisperer. You're
what's
the
that
fish
mean? Oh, yeah.
whisperer. Like
Well,
what's up with that?
when I
Talk to
took
me
that
about
time
fish.
off, I fished with professionals. I got so into it, I was fishing with pros.
Right? You're on TV and stuff, right?
Yeah, so I learned everything, and then we were making baits.
Okay.
And then I stopped, and I'm glad I did because it's God again. Because when I see some of like the one guy who's a guitar player, I gave a black Stratocaster. I should tell him I want it back. Now that I think about it, thanks for reminding me. I gave him a black Stratocaster. I don't even see him. I fished him and I saw him a few years ago. He goes, "I'm so glad you stopped." "What do you mean?" He goes, you get all the cold water in the fall, you get arthritic,
Oh yeah.
in your
Yep.
fingers. So I
Yep.
stopped chasing muskies in cold fall weather, but bass fishing in warm summer, I can kill them anywhere. I can kill them. I can
Nice.
find them
Okay.
anywhere.
Little secrets,
Kid
huh?
came over there. Oh, that kid, can I fish you? I say, here's the rule number one. You don't ever ask again. Just sneak over. I said, number two, don't ever tell anybody. And remember, I'm going to teach you a life lesson. Once you tell one other person, I'll give a shit who it is. It ain't a secret anymore. Don't tell nobody where you
That-
fish or what you use. So I'm showing the guys out here. I caught 4 fish. Mr. Sullivan's my dad. Taught me anything else. Don't overdo it, but he loves it. So I kind of showed it to him. I said, you're
Okay.
not working it right. And I'm showing him I'm going, geez, I caught a couple on fishing. He never caught them. Yesterday he caught 4.
Wow. Awesome.
Toby, when I didn't work, I picked it up. It
Right.
was
I
something
gotcha.
to do.
Right. And
When
you
I
got to
do
keep yourself
something,
busy. I know that.
when
Well,
I
that's
do
cool,
something,
man.
when I do something, I have to go It's that
And you,
whatever the fuck is that OCD shit these people try to deny. I don't care. Whenever I do something, I have to go full out.
that's
So
right.
when I went
Or
fishing,
nothing
I
at
ended
all,
up
right?
with the pros. I ended up
Right.
with the pros, so they taught me how to tie every knot, what line is. Then we started making baits, and then I stopped and went back to playing.
That's awesome, dude.
I love
Congratulations.
fishing, dude. No thanks. Fishing is really good for your head.
Yeah. And do you
You're
catch and
alone.
release, or do you
Yeah,
catch and
I
release,
always
or
do.
do you eat them all?
No, I have one fish mounted because she died, and I tried to save her for. Finally, I think it was one of my, may have been my brother Tom, because he's a great fisherman. He's like, "Oh, you got to give up on this thing," because I kept going back. I got her in deep water. I keep a syringe in the tackle box because their bladders blow up, and you got to, they become buoyant. And I
Okay.
said,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!" I let the deflated the bladder. She couldn't get back down. He's like, "You got to give up on this fish." I have one fish mounted, but that's the only reason because she's a great fish. I tried to save her, and I wasn't going to leave her belly up because she's
Right.
35 pounds, which isn't small, but it's not big. And I'm like, she should be in the
That's a,
lake, and I tried to save her, so I mounted her to go. You're there, I tried to save you. Look at this hole in you. And it isn't from heroin. I tried to deflate your dam. I did. When you catch
wow.
them in deep water. Yeah, well, their bladder, if it fills up with air, they're buoyant. They can't get down again. So
Okay. So what kind of fish was that?
that was a muskie.
35 pounds. A muskie. Wow. Okay.
Muskie, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
now I like bass fishing.
Okay.
Bass, bad. And I have to have action top water because they go, if they're on it, it's like, it's an OCD thing. They go crazy. No worms, no
Right. Right.
jigging. The top water, boom, where they go, wow, like Lisa freaks out because they go out of nowhere.
Yeah, I gotcha.
The other night, I was fishing and I got a catfish on a top water bait. I'm like, what the? And it freaked me, it broke my line. I got
Oh
it in,
wow.
but it broke. I said, holy shit, it weighed like 12, 15. I said, catfishing. So then there's a guy, Callion Fishing, who followed me on Instagram. He goes, catfish get mean at night. I said, I know, but they hit top water. And those tentacles, it was one that stings. They were looking around. I said, I got to put it down. I got the hook out of it, picked her up by the tail and let her go. But, it hit a top water bait. And I thought that never happened. He goes, you
Right.
still learn. He's an older captain in charters. Before he goes, you never stop learning. And then, of course, in life. So there it is. It's always full circle. So I learned that day, another day. I like to learn.
Absolutely. Right. That's pretty
It
cool.
seems to be like a never-ending road in my life, learning the hard way
Right. Well.
usually.
Yeah, all
It's
of
a
us, right?
school of hard knocks. I don't know about all of us. Mine's just the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, mine too.
I fully know what these producers, engineers, and managers. I said they should make statues out of them, put them in the artist house. You know, ever think
Exactly.
about that?
Right. Exactly.
They turn out to be. I'm like, most of them turned out to be saints.
Right.
A lot of them to
Amen.
me did.
Amen.
Well, I had a
Yep.
great manager, I had
Exactly.
great engineers, I had great producers. I had, listen, I got my ass kicked by them, but I learned.
Right. Exactly. And you learn from that, right? So I learned too. We had my one of my biggest mentors was Ron Nevison, who uh,
Ron,
produced Vital Signs and so many other records for you.
oh
And
God,
he's one of my heroes for sure. I love that man. And it's just,
I
I
do
love that
too.
guy. And
I
School
have
of
to
Hard Knocks,
correct,
right there.
I have the
You know,
best comeback. When people say Ron was this, Ron was not difficult. Ron was, just remember this, demanding. There's your answer.
exactly,
For all the
exactly.
non-runners that work on, oh, he's just it. No, he's demanding. You're going to show
That's
up and
right.
do your job. Or, what do you mean? He's a hard ass, but no, he's not difficult. He was demanding. So there's your
Right.
comeback. You ever look at it
Big
that way?
difference. Oh,
Well,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I did
when you
what,
tell
11 or 12
everybody
records with
else,
him. Yes, I will.
tell everybody else, because
Shout it
there's
from the.
artists that say, if you mention his name again, I'll punch you in the face. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, okay. So hard to work with. No, demanding. And then I always
Demanding,
turn around and
right?
go, yeah, but then when I walk away, I said, I tell we artists get bad raps for good reason.
That's right.
We
That's
weren't
right.
easy to work with. I think I was easier
Oh
than
well, we'll
most,
ask him
but
about that, and we'll see.
yeah,
I
Ron
got
kicked
one
my
last
ass.
question for you.
Go
I
ahead.
got one
What
last
is it?
question for you, sir.
Okay.
And that is, we all have them, hidden talents. All right. Okay. One of my
Hmm.
many is like weird voices and character voices and,
Okay, well, I don't do
stuff like
that
that.
shit, but like what?
Good. But what
Okay,
secret
but
talents do you have?
I don't have any. That's my
Yeah, you
problem. I don't
do.
have any secrets with me. With no
Well, maybe
secrets,
hidden talents. How about that?
no filters, no hidden talents, no hidden agendas, no ulterior motives. Imagine that, nothing. That sounds like a guy that should never be in a band. I have none of those. I don't have. I don't.
You're right.
Should never ever be in a band. I don't have ulterior motives. I don't. Hidden
Okay.
talents. I don't have any.
You sure?
I don't have any.
I don't know.
I may do one or do my old voice when it wasn't like what? Show me your voices. Show me. What do you do?
I got,
You do
the
this.
character voice like this. And then I can
Oh,
do
you're good.
really deep. And, then I can also do the Cookie Monster stuff, of course. Hey, Frank, what's
You
happening?
should do
You know,
voiceovers.
I
You
know, I
should do
know. It's just,
voiceovers.
oh, maybe you can help me get
I
into
want
it.
to.
You know,
So what would be a hidden? I don't know. Like, what do you mean? I don't know.
I don't know, a hidden
Like hidden
talent, something
talents.
that, that the world doesn't know about, but maybe Sarisa does, or, but, it has to be with, well, it doesn't have to be, but, something
Okay,
about,
okay, but now you have to take this with like the usual grain of salt, the size of like Colorado. But no, I'm
okay.
one of the best handyman you would run into.
See, there you go. There it
It's
is
like,
right
what do
there.
you do? I fixed the door. I'll do it. I now tell her, I joke around. The workers come. They don't know what to do. I'll get it when they leave. It came from my grandfather, my father, and nobody has a clue at all. So this is
Okay,
like, I
see,
didn't
there
know.
it
How did
is.
you do that? How did you do that? Gramp showed me. He's been gone 50 years. He showed me, and I'm using the tools of his I have. I'm a great
Right,
handyman
right.
because I like to twinkle. You like to
Okay.
turn knobs that I
Yeah,
once
yeah.
thought I could. I would
Okay.
rather twinkle around.
And
I
that's
would. Hey,
perfect.
Toby,
That's perfect.
you should know if I had it to. Everyone goes, "What would you do if you had to do everything over?" I always say nothing
Right?
except I would just let the producer and engineer do their fucking job. And most people have no. I said it. Most people go, "Huh?" You know what I'm talking about? I was at a restaurant. What? Let me. Yesterday, if somebody came up, I had a tag. I said, "Yeah, I did that. I'm guilty. I got to get past that." Right? We were talking. I said,
Sure, sure.
"If I had to do anything over, I don't want to do anything over." Like, what do you mean? You go, "Oh, okay, I would leave the fucking engineer and the producer alone and just do my job. That's all." And I said,
Right,
"See, I
right.
said it." And I was alone just with these two people I'd never met. Why
Okay.
would you say that? Like, what did they do? And I said, "You'd have to have years, and I could tell you about it." I said, "But trust me." And I did pretty good at it, but they had a hard job. You know that. You
Oh,
did. You
absolutely.
guys had a hard job, man. Then I run
Yep.
into the artists nowadays and I go, because I remember all that stuff going on.
Oh, sure.
But I think deep down, Toby, though, I always knew. That's like if I do songs or play like a solo you would like, or Ron would like, or a guitar part. That's what you
Right,
guys do. It's like
right.
you never took my guitar. Here, I'll do it. We're gonna. Ron always
Never.
liked when I wiggle the bender on my stretch. It's like
Oh, yeah.
I finally start going. Well, wait a minute. That's what they do. The week
Right.
after I'd burned the whole week at the record plant studio trying to mix a record, I called up. I called up John Gareth as my manager, who, by the way, I love John. He's still around, and I still talk to him.
Absolutely.
John, it was seconds count. I don't know
Okay.
what I'm doing here. I don't. Where did I get the idea? I, hey, you're on your own. No, John, no. Just get Ron or call. No. You called, but I won't tell the
Okay.
band. You just lock out. What was 1987 at
Right.
Rose? It's the record plant studio, so you know what it costs. The whole
Yeah,
fucking week.
absolutely. Yep.
By Sunday, I'm done. I just said, fuck it. And I thought I'll just call my manager, John. No. You call him. That's when I started going, oh, life's lesson. It kind of clicked it. I did. I called
Uh
Ron.
huh.
I said,
Excellent.
John, can't you? No, I'm not. Can't you just call him? I'm like playing the artist. Oh, but
Sure.
you call. That whole week. So you know what that cost back then? I just burned it going, what
Oh
the
yeah.
fuck did I know? Well, you guys did it for a living. See, that was always
Right.
I would tell Jim that, look, we make records once every year. You guys go in and make records every day.
That's
I
right.
said, and
Every
a
day.
lot of them are like hit records. Like
Yep.
they work with great other artists and players. I'm like, we do it like once every day. Well,
That's
so
right.
well, so you can. We don't need. We do need. See, towards the
Right.
last three records, I just started dictating. No, I'm not doing it.
Right.
It was the worst thing you ever did in your life. I said to some pro golfer, what do you think it was? I said, you think that's bad? Produce your own band. They're like, huh?
Right.
You know what it's like.
Oh, I
And
do.
then you go, and then find out that really you could do it, but the guys that do it every day should do it. And then he goes, well,
That's
that's
right.
like trying to do what I do. I'll remember his name and
Exactly.
I'll call you back. And he was like a big pro golfer. I said, yeah, you don't chase the ball all around. Well, it's on a bad day, but no, that's how you make your money. Okay, well, I'm one of those guys. So they make it. Don't do that again. I said, well, it's over now. But what did you do at the time? I said, I realized it.
Right.
Let me
Exactly.
ask you, do you remember that? Do you remember me at that time? Do you?
I I do. Absolutely.
How was I to work with now? How was I to work with? Tell me. You tell
I
me.
I was focused more on Ron because at that time
Yeah,
I
but
was the
if you're,
I was the
go
assistant
ahead.
slash engineer, and got credit for assistant engineer. But I had a lot of engineering duties at the time, and it every artist that we worked with, because there were like 11 in a row that I did with him, and I think you were twice in a row, and so it
Yes.
was
Yeah.
you were one of the easier ones. Absolutely, because you came in very organized and everything was done. Except obviously the tracking and so on and so forth, and you know I think it was a lot more organized than a lot of the projects that he and I did together, and then subsequently a lot of projects that I did after that, which I, I learned organization, a lot of organization from Ron, which was great.
Yeah, Ron was always making sure to get rid of everybody else in the band but me. So then I understood it. When he finally said they're all leaving, don't send them any. I sent him one mix in a FedEx, and one guy said there's not enough bass. I go, Ron, he goes, okay, no more mixes.
Right,
Okay. So I
exactly.
tell the guys I lied to him. Well, I sent him. I was always that guy. So I observed.
Right.
You were observing. I was observing more than you were.
Yes. Yeah. I was
I
just trying to
stepped
keep
in
Ron happy.
potholes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
stepped in
Me too.
potholes a lot of times.
Oh yeah. Me
Like the
too.
search is over vocal. Search is
Right.
over vocal. I got to get out of town. Then I come back. He did. He made me go home. He said, go home and take Jim with you so I could do the sleep vocal. Search is over. The
Right.
second
Right.
verse was when we didn't have the words. Excuse me. You want to keep the cadence going? This
That's
is
right.
search is over. Which, by the way, when we made the master, the engineer erased the drums. So the slave
Right.
drums were drums we used on the track that went to number one for a month. Go listen to it.
Right.
And Ron's like, don't tell anybody. Well, to this day, like Jim, will you stop arguing with me? Go look at the master reel. So when you transfer it, well, the guy made a
Yep.
mistake and he erased all the master drums.
Right.
Ron says, excuse me, don't tell the guy. So I didn't. So I went home and he cut the vocal. He came back and when you're writing, you want to keep the cadence going. In the second verse, I wrote just dummied lyrics up. Can we stay forever? Will we forever? We'll fix it later. Well, fuck what, Ron. There's no fixing. He's alone and Jay will sing his office. I cut the track. And there's a couple of things, a lot of time. And I listening back to it and then he goes, Jim goes, that second verse was a dummied up verse. I know. I said, yeah. He goes, it's out of time. I go, there's a chrome. Hey, Ron, don't fucking say it, please. I said, but you fucking got to be kidding me. And I know I said, I'm leaving. And I went out there and Jim was kind of mad at me. Well, it went to number one here, the first phone call. Boy, number one, that fucking second verse really ruined the song. When number one in the pop chart. And then the fourth week, because they're number one for a month, I said, and by the way, you don't know this, but those are the slave drums because the master drums tracks got erased. And then he had to go. I
Click.
showed him finally. Look, they got erased. So
Yep.
Ron taught me. Then you got to go with what you got. So he
Yep.
said, don't tell anyone. Normally you would, but I learned back then there, do people really focus that much on when a guy's singing Searches over? I think that's what I learned. Okay, am I getting hung up on the out of time and the melody or the second? Besides, wait a minute, that second verse, that's not a throwaway lyric anyhow. I'm going to tell him when I end up the phone, that's a good lyric because, you know, you want to keep the cadence. I just said, just use Can We Last Forever, Will We Fall Apart? At times it's so confusing, questions of the heart. We'll fix it later. Keep the cadence going. Well, Ron just cut.
Right.
It's the
Yep.
dummy. I heard it for a month. It's the dummy lyric. I can't believe it went to number one. Boy, that lyric fucked up that whole song. You know? And then I never told him, you know, by the way, and he didn't believe me, and I had to show him, look, and it was two of those songs, Toby, that in that record. The master on Vital Signs, where the master drums were erased.
Wow.
You know, Ron, it's slave drums, dude. Don't tell anybody. Done.
Right. Well,
You
shit
go
happens
listen to it now
sometimes,
that I
right?
told you. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you know, did it hurt me? Well, here's the shit that doesn't need to happen. No one knew. Did it hurt anything? No, because it was a ballad. It was J-Mo singing a song, went to number one.
Exactly.
And then I remember Ron going, "Did you learn anything?" Because anytime I come in, tell him to talk to me himself. You know, I was always like the messenger,
Right.
manager. Finally, someone, Bud Prager, will you go? I said something. He said, "Do me a favor, pick up the phone and call Baba and tell him you said what you wanted to say to me, and then stop doing it." So that's when I learned my lesson. You know,
Right, I
you're
got
the
you.
messenger too. When the
Oh, yeah.
bands, you know, you're the messenger. That's why I like the Metallica guys so much, Toby. They're all done.
Oh,
with
me
all
too.
that stuff.
That's right.
Do
That's
you love
right.
those guys still, or what? Are they
I
as
love
cool as
those
they
guys.
seem?
Yeah.
I hold on to it. Peter makes
Yeah.
that Peter. It's not even my favorite song. High on You. He says it every day. High on You's the best one.
Oh, it's a great song, dude. No doubt about
I
it.
love High on You. I love High on You. It's one of my favorite. That and You Did Is Just Love It, Ron. Those are my favorite two songs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love that song
Because of
too.
the
I was listening
vocal.
to it last night. Yep.
The lead vocal. But what?
That's
Hey,
right.
can you turn that side stick down now for me?
I'll
Did you
try.
listen to
Yeah.
the side? Did you listen to Is This Love? Did you hear it? How was the side stick?
Oh my God, dude. It was so
My
loud.
God, how in the fuck did that make it up the chart? Well, remember in the studio, I go, Jesus, it was
Oh
a
yeah.
hit, didn't it? People go, what the fuck is that? Turn the channel, you get a headache.
All right. It was
Listen
louder
to
than
it.
the snare in the chorus.
But there's like this three mid-range on, like,
Yeah.
you don't remember in the studio, I'm going, Tobe, fuck, I had a headache. What's wrong
Hell.
with you? Nothing. It was so fucking, he just left it. It was
Yeah,
a
I
hit.
know.
But now that I pointed out to you, put it on. Did you hear? Listen to how was it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's funny.
Well,
Well, this has been a very informative and fun episode. I loved all the stories and learning about you and the history of Survivor. And thank you, Frankie, for taking the time to be part of this episode of My Right Stuff. I really appreciate it, my friend.
This is how
Well, now
I would only do it for you, Toby.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Look at how
And now I'd like to thank my sponsor, Tomes, which is a natural sleep and sound healing portal, helping people globally to get to sleep faster and stay asleep longer. You can find this piece of gold at tomes.com. That's www.taummoms.com. And most of all, a big thank you to all of you who stream, download, watch, and support My Right Stuff. Please keep spreading the word. I appreciate it. And also, we have a merch store that you can pick up some snazzy merch for those bodies. And don't forget to tag us in any photos with our merch so we can give you a live shout out on myrightstuff.com. And I want to thank our whole My Right Stuff crew for making this podcast possible every week. This has been another exciting episode of My Right Stuff. Be sure to tune in next week and every week for yet another adventurous and informative episode. Please be sure to subscribe on YouTube so you never miss an episode. I hear you also give you 10 years good luck. Well, ring that bell. I'm your host, Lord Toby Wright. And remember, listen loud, play hard, and keep reaching for your dreams.
Thank you for watching My Right Stuff. This episode was brought to you by Tones, a natural sleep and sound healing portal available globally at www.tones.com. That's www.taummoms.com.